Welcome back to the Hall of Origins. We've talked a lot about the Mario protagonists on this show, so let's take a turn and discuss the series' most popular antagonist. If there is one constant to this universe, it's that every good guy has to have a bad guy to fight. A yin to their yang, a light to their dark, a villain to their hero. And Mario's villain is the mighty Bowser. This towering king of the Koopas has been deemed the most popular video game villain ever. Maybe not necessarily the best one, but definitely the most recognizable. Let's take a look back at the origins of the Mario franchise's iconic Big Bad. So the story of Bowser started in a game before his debut, and you might be wondering, what in the world does that mean? Well, in the 1983 arcade classic Mario Bros., one of the enemies was a little turtle creature named a Shell Creeper. When developing Super Mario Bros., Shigeru Miyamoto took the Shell Creeper design and refined it a little bit into a character referred to as a Bowser Koopa, or Boss Creeper. Along with resembling the turtle-like enemies, he stood upright with spikes going up his back and was given sharp teeth and claws. During the production of Super Mario Bros., Shigeru Miyamoto optioned the idea to have a manga artist take over the game's illustrations, but there wasn't time in order to meet their deadline, so Miyamoto did the illustrations himself. For the final piece of the game's artwork, the upright standing Shell Creeper had been redesigned into a bluish-gray ox-looking type of character. Miyamoto states that his inspiration for this new design was from the Ox Demon King that appeared in the 1960 anime adaptation of Journey to the West. And yes, this is the same story that inspired Dragon Ball. That means that both the Ox King and Bowser were inspired by the same character. How about that bit of knowledge? However, even with this Ox Demon King design, Nintendo designer Takeshi Tezuka mentioned that the character looked more like a giant turtle than an ox. Along with Miyamoto, the two began redefining the character's design to look more turtle-like, since he was the leader of a turtle army after all. Yoichi Kotabe, whom was hired by Nintendo to create packaging illustrations for Super Mario Bros., also contributed to Bowser's design by basing it more off the Chinese soft turtle, which is a highly aggressive animal reflecting Bowser's short temper. When it came to what the name of the character should be, Miyamoto wanted to name him Daimao Koopa, which came from a Korean dish called gukbap. Gukbap is Koopa in Japanese. Before deciding, he also considered the names Yuke and Bibimbap, which are also Japanese names for two other Korean dishes. However, Miyamoto admitted that this was a mistake and that he originally chose the name because he thought Gukbap was a name for meat and thought it sounded strong and cool. He would later find out that Gukbap was actually a soup with rice. Now, just like with Princess Peach, Koopa had a different name outside of Japan. Over here in America, he was referred to as Bowser, and unfortunately, still to this day, no one is sure who suggested it or where exactly it came from. So in the backstory of Super Mario Bros., Bowser and his Koopa Troop invade the Mushroom Kingdom and, using his magic, transforms the majority of the toads into bricks and horsetail plants. And then before leaving, captures Princess Toadstool and takes her back to his castle, because she alone has the power to reverse the magic spell on all the toads. This is where our game begins, as Mario and Luigi travel across multiple levels to save the princess and restore all the transformed toads. Players for the first time encounter Bowser and, well, I put that in quotes, Bowser, at the end of level 1-4. The reason being that with the exception of the final one, all the Bowsers you meet are random enemies disguised as Bowser. By defeating them with a fire flower, it reveals their true form. But during the last level, it's the real deal. You're face to face with Bowser and he throws hammers at you. Upon his defeat, you rescue Princess Toadstool and she assumingly returns all the toads that you didn't break with your fist back to normal. Bowser must not have learned anything because for his second outing in Super Mario Bros. 2, the Japanese version that is, he tries the exact same thing. I mean, like, the exact same thing. He transforms the Mushroom Citizens back into blocks, he captures the Royal Retainers, and Princess Toadstool is kept in the final castle where he awaits Mario's arrival. Honestly, had this come out today, it probably just would have been downloadable content for the first game, like it being called an extra level pack or something. If at first you don't succeed, try again. So in Super Mario Bros. 3, Bowser does just that. Princess Toadstool has been captured once again, but this time Bowser is called in support of some brand new characters, the Koopalings, or Koopa Kids if you prefer. In this adventure, after you make it through all the Doom ships, each containing one of the Koopalings, it's off to Darkland for the Bowser Showdown. This one changes up the formula a little bit by having you let Bowser, more or less, do himself in by breaking the ground beneath him. You know what insanity is? doing the exact same thing over and over again, hoping for a different outcome. Yep, that's our favorite villain, Bowser, because in Super Mario World, he does the exact same thing. You'd think by the fourth attempt he would learn. But hey, I'll give him this, he sure is persistent. So let's jump over into the world of cartoons for a little bit. Bowser appeared for the first time in animation in the Japan-only movie, The Great Rescue of Princess Peach. In this movie, Bowser does pretty much what you think he's going to do. Capture Princess Peach, cause of course he does. In one scene, Bowser showcases some interesting powers, like being able to shapeshift into anything that Peach suggests. I mean, I guess in a way this is somewhat canon to the first game, since he used his powers to transform the Toads into blocks. So if you want to go with that argument of why he has this power, I mean, I guess it kind of works. But in America, the version of Bowser that we got appeared in the Super Mario Bros. Super Show, Adventures of Mario Bros. 3, and Super Mario World. This iteration, for the most part, went by just Koopa, or King Koopa. His design was inspired by how he looked in the original game. But he also shares some similarities to Wart from the American version of Super Mario Bros. 2. It's like they took both designs and mashed them together to get this design. But to tell you the truth, when I was a kid, this version was the definitive Bowser Koopa design for me. And it's probably because when I was young, my older brother and myself watched these cartoons constantly, maybe even more than we played the games. So I just came to know this Bowser the most out of all of them.
Watch it, soldier. When I want my feet licked, I'll ask for it. I want my feet licked.
Now, before I segue into the next game, there was another Bowser in media I should address. And no, not the Dennis Hopper version who played King Koopa in the Mario Bros. Live-action movie, but this one is just as notorious.
King Koopa wants you to be a Koopa Trooper.
Attention! This is your king, and live to be a member of my audience and see me live on TV!
Yeah, for a short time there was a live-action Koopa inspired by the animation design. It was called King Koopa's Cool Cartoons. This show harkened back to such things as Bozo the Clown, something that I used to watch when I was a kid, actually. And the formula is pretty much the same. Koopa would take part in some comedy segments and then play a cartoon, and after it was over, do another comedy segment. Yeah, it only lasted one season, but hey, it's a part of Mario history. So back in the video game world, Bowser continued to do what he does best, capture Princess Peach and being defeated by Mario. You know the drill. However, an interesting addition was added when Super Mario Sunshine was released. It is here that we meet Bowser's son, Bowser Jr. This changed Bowser's character a little bit. He is for the most part aggressive, angry, and short-tempered, but with his son thrown into the mix, we now got to see a sensitive side to him. When Bowser's around Bowser Jr., he wasn't afraid to open up. It was kinda cool that this was added to the King of Koopas. He may be a villain, but he's not that bad of a parent. We would actually see more of this later when Nintendo released a video explaining how the parental controls on the Switch worked. Bowser is portraying some top-level responsibility, to setting time limits for Bowser Jr. to play, to covering his eyes at an inappropriate part, and even listening to him describing exciting moments in the game he's playing. Wow, much different than the Bowser we've come to know, huh? And I love how he has Princess Peach on his phone's background. Just a nice detail they added. So with how good he is with Bowser Jr., Bowser must be just as good to his other kids, right? Well, unfortunately the Koopalings aren't his kids anymore. So yeah, in Mario 3 it was canon that all 7 Koopalings were the offspring of Bowser. And that's just how it was for a few decades. However, in September of 2012, Shigeru Miyamoto dropped a bombshell on Koopa Kid fans across the world, stating that in the current story, the 7 Koopalings are not Bowser's kids. From this point on, all of them were just referred to as Bowser's minions when their relationship status was brought up. Man, that must bite for the Koopalings, going from heirs to the Koopa throne to minion status? Dang. But even if they're not related, it is still nice that they're back in the games more frequently. Now you would think with other characters like Wario getting his own series, that Bowser would get one as well. But unfortunately, as of the beginning of 2023, that has yet to happen. However, there have been a few games that put him in more of a prominent role, such as Mario RPG, where Bowser fights alongside of Mario, or Mario & Luigi Bowser's Inside Story, where a good chunk of the game takes place inside Bowser's body. And then there's Bowser's Fury. I mean, wow, look at this design! Talk about taking things to the next level, huh? Yeah, in this add-on to Super Mario 3D World, you have to team up with Bowser Jr. to defeat his father and turn him back to normal. It was a nice little surprise for when this was re-released on the Switch. And of course, this brings us to today, where we're all waiting for the release of the Super Mario Bros. Movie from Illuminations. I know most had their doubts when Jack Black was cast as Bowser, but man, seeing the trailer and hearing his voice, he sure did prove that he has what it takes. I am so looking forward to seeing his performance. And I like how the company lately is just having fun with the character, and not just treating him like a bad guy all the time, but allowing his character to grow. Like when Nintendo of America's new president, Doug Bowser, was supposed to give a presentation, and Bowser thought he was supposed to do it instead, just because the two share the same name? More of this, please, Nintendo, because this was truly entertaining to watch. I'm not sure what the future holds for everyone's favorite overgrown turtle inspired by a bowl of rice, but whatever it holds, I'm sure we can look forward to many, many more memorable moments with the King of the Koopas.